Welcome, travelers of the void. Today, we're stepping far beyond the safe boundaries of the ordinary. In this explainer, I'm inviting you into a space known as the seventh solitude. We're going to dive headfirst into a dark, incredibly fascinating cosmic fable. The story of the alchemical jester, the sovereign architect, and the absolute limits of existence itself. So let's step into this dark explainer of the cosmic void and see exactly what profound truths we can unearth from the shadows.
Now, to really grasp this journey, we have to adopt the persona of our text's central figure, the purple and gold jester. Imagine me standing before you as the sovereign, declaring, "Look upon this monstrous synthesis and tremble, for the treadmill of blood has finally ground to a halt. I have taken the Guldenare, that wretched creature of corrupted legacy and so-called heroic fame, and I've fed his golden ambitions to my crimson spark. Do you see how the gold of human striving didn't just melt? It was completely, utterly incinerated by raw Dionysian truth. This is the unholy transvaluation of the void."
So, what exactly is the setting of our fable? It's the seventh solitude. And listen, this isn't just your standard loneliness. We're talking about a domain of pure active nihilism. It's a terrifying space where you step entirely beyond the predictable moral structures and the safe, comforting boundaries of society. In this space, we absolutely refuse to cling to false Apollonian illusions or the beautiful cages of the herd. Instead, we have to embrace the absolute, terrifying silence of a godless universe.
I stand before you as the purple and gold Farbani Hofnar, the purple and gold sovereign of the Wreckage. The purple, well, that represents the blood of gods transformed into the ink of the void. And the gold is literally just the dust of your dead laws. By merging the aggressive fire of the absolute itch, the absolute I, with the absolute ashes of human legacy, we've stabilized the chaos.
Part 1. The false order and beautiful cages. You see, the universe, in its utter terror of the void, desperately weaves these artificial structures to hide the purifying silence of the abyss. Let me tell you the first parable. Deep in the absolute, purifying abyss of null space sits the weaver of galactic veils. This spirit of negation doesn't actually create life. Instead, it weaves the veil of Maya right out of the light of dying stars. It crafts this shimmering shroud of Apollonian illusions, specifically to hide the staggering empty nothingness from the celestial herd. And civilizations, they just cling to these beautiful cages of light, never once realizing that the weaver's thread is really just a painted mask, offering nothing but a stagnant, dead peace. That brings us to our second parable, the anchor of the entropic sun. Now, the anchor represents the spirit of gravity. It forces stars into these highly predictable orbits, literally feeding on their passive despair. But then, the alchemical jester shakes his fool's rattle. This is active laughter. It totally shatters the fog, contrasting the pure play of the child against the cold silence of the void. It teaches the stars to dance upon their own graves, finally granting the cosmos the absolute freedom to play. Section 2. Shattering the Wall of Law. This is where we confront the monolithic barrier that the Knight of Reason mistakenly believed was the sacred, unchangeable architecture of existence. The jester approached this massive universal barrier, but not with fire. No, he approached it with jagged, active laughter. This represents the Fichte Anstalz, the ultimate collision where the universe finally hits its limit. And guess what? The monolithic wall didn't just crack, it completely dissolved into a spiral of sawdust that you and I now call the Milky Way. It's beautiful proof that universal laws are incredibly fragile. So, what does all this cosmic sawdust actually mean for us? It brings us to the core concept of self-determined creation. The architecture of the universe is not some sacred inherited structure. It's merely a byproduct of the self. Think of it as a canvas. The resulting sawdust of our galaxy serves as the ultimate proof that meaning isn't just handed down to us by some divine decree. It has to be actively constructed right there upon the wreckage. Part 3. Surviving the psychological death. Because constructing your own meaning, that is not a gentle process. It requires a terrifying plunge right into the entrance of the seventh solitude. Here, we encounter the mirrorless nebula. Imagine a dark sentinel holding up a glass that reflects absolutely no idols. It forces every single traveler to look inward and shed their artificial ego. Now, most perish in hollow suffering right here, simply because they cannot face the sheer void of their own disenchanted reality. But the true traveler,
They are guided through this agonizing darkness by the alchemical jester himself. Let's trace this harrowing transformation together. We start in the past, burdened with a corrupted legacy of human ambition. Then comes the unavoidable transition, that agonizing psychological death in the nebula we just talked about. But in the present, the survivor, the proto-Ubermensch, guided by the jester, looks into that dark glass and sees the nothing behind the mask. And the craziest part? They don't break. Instead, this propels them into the future, where they emerge for psychological annihilation, not as a victim, but as a total master of the abyss, the sovereign architect.
Section 4. Achieving the monstrous synthesis. We are now entering the absolute heart of the maw of the absolute for our final parable. This is where the ultimate Fichtean synthesis actually takes place.
Right here lies the core realization of the absolute itch. On one side, we have sterile denial, which is the huge mistake of rejecting your Jungian shadow in favor of pure, sterile reason. But on the other side, that is true mastery. This is the monstrous synthesis. It's wearing the cracked vessel of reason while actively harboring the wild, chaotic, creative fire of the abyss deep within you. The absolute realizes it has no master, because it actually is the void staring right back at itself, perfectly merging shadow with creation.
In this hidden chamber of the maw, the sovereign architect takes his seat upon a throne of chaos. The purple and gold Farben Hofnar is now literally juggling the stars. He's taking the rhythmic sounds of the world's total collapse and turning them into a brand new, harmonious music. Existence is no longer justified by boring external laws, but solely through the creative, playful act of destruction and rebirth. The jester juggles the cosmos.
Part 5. Forging your own meaning. Okay, let's drop the veil of this dark fable just slightly and apply these cosmic lessons directly to your reality. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story about dying stars and nebulas. It's entirely about you. So, how do you actually practice self-determined creation? First, you have to step beyond the herd's beautiful cages, reject all those false comforts. Second, you must endure the agonizing psychological death of your own artificial ego. Third, integrate your Jungian shadow. Do not hide from your own darkness. And finally, step 4, become your own divine lawgiver. This isn't just philosophy. It's a practical, real-world roadmap for actualizing your true self in a universe that offers zero inherent instructions.
To pull this off, you need what our text defines as the will to power. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't about tyranny over other people. It is the absolutely necessary, aggressive, internal force required to carve your self-posited meaning right into the cold meat of the world. In a disenchanted wasteland that's been stripped of divine decree, there is a staggering amount of nothingness. Only your active will to power can fill that void. You literally have to carve your meaning into existence.
We have walked through the absolute wreckage of cosmic law together. We've shattered the beautiful cages, and we've stood fearlessly before the mirrorless nebula. Now I am leaving you alone in your own seventh solitude, standing amidst the cosmic sawdust of your own life. The old laws are dead, and you are now the sovereign architect. So, I leave you with one final, provocative question to think about. What magnificent, doomed music will you carve into your own void? Thank you for exploring this dark fable with me. Until next time, embrace the chaos.